So Jim Jordan and James Comer, they're like Batman and Robin, the new dynamic duo of the Republican Party in leadership roles to investigate Joe Biden and his administration. They have a lot to investigate: the border, Afghanistan, classified documents, the Biden's financial ties to China, Russia, and Ukraine, the weaponizing of the DOJ. Those are just the starters that they're talking about. What needs to be the priority, in your opinion? What should the tone of these investigations be? 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-0WJR. Jordan and Comer have more than just TV airtime to call out all their concerns. They have subpoena power, and that may turn this whole Washington, D.C. upside down in the next several months and probably years. Joining us now is Dave Dulio, Director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science Professor at Oakland University. Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I appreciate you being here. I think that the Democrats would love to see Jordan and Comer turned into cartoon characters like Batman and Robin, so they could describe them as far-right mega conspiracy pushers who are living in a fictional world. But I don't think that's going to work for them. When you look at what's going to happen here, and it sounds like they're going to look at the border first. Do you sense Jordan and Comer are going to be very serious investigators, slow and methodical, or do you think they'll be very theatrical and go for big zingers that the TV cameras will like?
Well, I think it'll end up being a bit of both. I think Congressman Jordan has a pretty long track record of doing this sort of thing. And if you'll remember, when the whole speaker vote was playing out, in one of his speeches nominating Kevin McCarthy, Congressman Jordan went through a litany of things that he would want to see happen in this Congress, and these investigations were one of them. And I think it's also important to note that many wanted Jordan to be speaker, but he pushed that aside and said, look, I want to be chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and I want to do these investigations. I want to cross-examine these witnesses. So I think that gives you a window into the world of how he's going to approach this.
I think you're right. Why is the subpoena power so important? And there's some new rules that came with the subpoena power, making it easier to obtain information and to obtain subpoenas. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think that it's so important because it really lets the Republicans control who comes before the committees that are going to do these investigations and compels them to come forward. I think that it really is an enormous power, and one that you saw that was even debated sort of early on in this Congress, that if there had to be a deal struck between, say, Republicans and Democrats about on the speaker issue, that subpoena power was maybe one of those things that could be negotiated. So Democrats used it very effectively in the last Congress, certainly around the issue of January 6th, and I think Republicans are going to they certainly hold that power now and are going to use it effectively and often.
So much talk about the classified documents, but Congress is saying they're going to start at the southern border. Do you think that's a smart move politically, or do you strike what everyone's talking about currently?
I think it is a smart move because it's an issue that resonates with Americans. It's not seen as a personal partisan issue like it would be with, say, the documents or Hunter Biden. But if Republicans were to investigate what's happening at the border first, right, they can put that issue front and center for the American people. And that's one, as I said, resonates with the public. Most people see it as a problem. And I think that puts Republicans on sort of firm ground then to spoke off and do these other things. It would give them some credibility as a group for investigations moving forward that could be and frankly will be described by Democrats as witch hunts and partisan in nature.
So they will likely subpoena Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas. They may even move to impeach him, he would likely not be removed because Democrats have control of the Senate. But if they go down this road, which it looks like they're going to go down, how different will the narrative be on the border from what we've heard? Will the media cover these hearings? Will America start to think differently about the border than they do right now?
Well, you certainly won't see it get the kind of coverage for multiple reasons that the January 6th committee got. But I think that, will it change minds? I think that depends on the information that is put forward. I think that, as I mentioned, right, I think a lot of people across the country see it as a problem. I think you're even seeing some Democrats start to criticize what's happening down there, and I think you've seen a shift even from the White House, right, where for years Biden and the administration resisted the idea that he would go to the border and that he would take a look at what's happening. But then just in the last couple of weeks, he made a trip and they start to talk a little bit more about it and acknowledge that, hey, maybe we need to beef up the funding that the Border Patrol gets. We need to do some things that aren't happening right now. So I think you've already seen that shift. And that, frankly, might be some posturing leading into an announcement about a run for re-election, maybe.
I think about the January 6 hearings in this primetime TV. You're going to see this on prime time and all the channels carrying this and them hiring TV producers to lay this out for the American people. To me, it seemed like it backfired. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it worked exactly how they wanted it to work. But do you see Republicans going big like that, or do you see them putting on more of a professional investigative feel to perhaps add more credibility to the findings that they have?
I think it'll be more of the latter. I think it'll be more of the sort of quote unquote regular investigations and let's be honest about this, right? This is really a prime function of what Congress does. One of their responsibilities as an institution in a shared powers system of government is oversight of the executive branch. And that's what they're doing. Now, you could certainly quibble with the idea of investigating Hunter Biden and his laptop, right, as maybe outside of that. But oversight of what happens when the executive branch is executing and carrying out laws is a central piece of what the Congress is supposed to do. And it happens all the time. I think you won't see the extraordinary efforts to make it made for TV, maybe like the January 6th hearings were, but I think that there's also a lesson in that. I'm not sure how many people watched that. And if you did, you probably had your mind made up one way or the other. I don't think that moved opinion very much either direction.
Appreciate it. David Dulio, Director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science, Professor at Oakland University. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.